The Blood Hunter from Matt Mercer, who you may or may not have heard of, is a small indie developer within the D&D space, I'm told, is one of, if not the first, officially endorsed third-party class, and certainly on D&D Beyond. But it was made for the D&D instead of, well, 5e, instead of 5.5e, and I thought it would be interesting to take a look at the class to see how it fares and think about how I would update it if it needs updating. Me being a great game designer and man of many thoughts. I mean, I do have a lot of thoughts, but I can't say most of them are useful, hence the top, honestly. Welcome to Dungeon Himbo. My name is Jason. I will be your silly little guy. I really need to work on these intros. Today, yeah, we're going to be doing this, basically. I just want to give a quick shout out to my channel members and my Patreon members. I appreciate all of you. You can also join a Discord if you would like to. It is in the description. And if you do sign up to the Patreon or anything else, you get a benefit, like a little tag on Discord and a special little room. And there will be more as I add more, because that's how that works, generally speaking. So, yay. But now, though, let's take a look at the class, shall we? There is, straight off the bat, A, cool artwork. B, all of this is fluff, and I fully respect that. I really do. But it's not what we're going for. This is also fluff, but this is like general fluff. This is a specific story of the Blood Hunters, which is cool for vibes, but a bit odd otherwise. And then you've got more fluff. We like fluff. I'm here for fluff. I'm happy to have fluff. I have 2 cats. I love fluff. But let's talk about the mechanical side of the class, because that's the stuff that's interesting, right? You get just so much stuff. It is a lot. You have a Hemocraft die, which goes up as you level up, scaling up at the cantrip breakpoints, 5, 11, and 17. By the by, I think this is a logical way to scale up any class features, and it's weird to me that we don't get more that follow that. In general. Rage damage, for example. Specifically rage damage. I'm mostly talking about rage damage. I hate rage damage. Along with that, you get blood curses, which also don't scale alongside that. How does that make sense? These come 1 level after? No. It goes up to 2 at 6, so it's every 5 levels. 3 at 10, 4 at 14, and 5 at 18. Oh, who cares about logic anyway? The main stats for any Blood Hunter are going to be strength or dexterity, and then either intelligence or wisdom. It does say here, very in Hemocraft ability, because as it's programmed in, you can use intelligence as that's intended, but you can also use wisdom at your DM's discretion, is what it says. I think that's super cool, because we need more flexible classes, and I think that having ones like this, where they're mostly, but not entirely, having more options for those is good, actually. Blood Hunters get 1d10 per Blood Hunter level. Hit points is 10 plus your con mod, standard stuff, all standard stuff. You get light armor, medium armor, shields, simple and martial weapons. You get alchemist supplies. Saving throws are dex and int, which are decent. You get to start with a martial weapon or 2 simple weapons, a crossbow, some armor, and so on. Let's go over the features, shall we? Hunter's Bane at level 1. This gives you advantage on wisdom checks, survival checks specifically, to track fae, fiends, or undead, as well as on intelligence checks to recall information about those creatures. Also gives you the ability to control and shape Hemocraft magic using your own blood and life essence to fuel your abilities. Some of your features may require your target to make a saving throw to resist the feature's effects. The saving throw is 8 plus your PB plus your Hemocraft modifier, so either int or wisdom. Again, love the flexibility there. Very, very cool. You also get Blood Maledict at level 1. God, it's been a while since I've done a class review. Your list was the last one? Yeah. I haven't done the Illrigger either. Maybe I should do the Illrigger at some point. Let me know if you want the Illrigger, I guess. You learn 1 blood curse of your choice. You get an additional one at 6, 10, 14, and 18. Each time you learn a new one, you can also replace one of the current ones. Each time you use this feature, you can choose which curse you want to invoke out of the ones you know. While invoking it, you can choose to amplify it by taking some damage equal to a roll of your Hemocraft die. Damage can't be prevented, and an amplified curse gains additional effects. Cannot curse creatures that do not have blood. Makes sense. Once you use this feature, you must a short or long rest before you can use it again, and you can do it twice from 6th level, 3 times from 13th, and 4 times from 17th. Why isn't that twice from 5th, and then 2? Doesn't matter. Level 2, we get a fighting style, but you can only choose one of the 4 following ones, which is archery, so +2 with ranged stuff. Dueling, +2 damage if you've got one weapon in your hand. Dueling's a banger, honestly. So is archery. Great fighting styles. Simple but super effective. Great weapon fighting, that lets you reroll stuff. And 2-weapon fighting, so you can add your ability modifier to your second weapon. 2-weapon fighting is innately a little bit better in 5.5e because of Nick, the weapon mastery. So they're all solid. I will give my thoughts on what I would change at the end. We'll do that. Crimson Rite. At 2nd level, you can, as a bonus action, activate a rite on any one weapon you are holding. This lasts until you finish a short or long rest, which is super cool. And you take necrotic damage equal to your Hemocraft die, can't be reduced. While the rite is in effect, your weapon is magical and it deals extra damage determined by the rite that you choose. You can only do one rite per weapon. Nice and simple. You also gain an additional Crimson Rite at 7th and the 14th level. So you can choose to do fire, cold, or lightning, and then from 14th level onwards, necrotic, psychic, or thunder. It's weird to have thunder at 14th level and not in amongst the others. No acid either, which is a little bit strange because I feel like acidic blood is a thing. But hey, what do I mean? I know some stuff. Level 3, you get your subclass. Obviously, subclasses, you get your abilities at 3, 7, 11, 15, and 18. I like lots of subclass abilities. It's one of the weirdest things about the rogue is that it gets so few, and also there's such a large gap between them, but hey ho. Level 4 is ASI, obviously. Level 5 is extra attack. Level 6, you get a Brand of Castigation. If you hit a creature with which you have the active Crimson Rite for, you can channel Hemocraft magic to sear an arcane brand into that creature. You always know the direction of the creature as long as on the same plane, and each time the branded creature deals damage to you, or a creature you can see within 5 feet of you, it takes psychic damage equal to your Hemocraft modifier, so that's your intelligence or your wisdom modifier. The brand lasts until you dismiss it, or until you brand another creature, and it can be dispelled with Dispel Magic, and is treated as a spell with a level equal to half your Blood Hunter level, maximum of 9th level. Once you use this feature, you can't do it again until you finish a short or long rest. So there's really not much use for that. It's a fairly minimal boost from a damage perspective, but it's a cool one for flavor. So mixed feelings. Also, you get extra attack at level 5. Extra attack is always good. So level 9, you get Grim Psychometry. I assume it's psychometry, not psychometry. That sounds like an M. Bison attack. Whenever you make an intelligence history check to recall information about the sinister or tragic history of an object you're touching or your current location, you get advantage on the check. At a DM's discretion, a suitably high roll may cause your character to experience brief visions of the past connected to the object or location. Cool feature. Ribbon feature, but cool feature. Dark Augmentation. Level 10, your speed increases by 5 feet. 5 feet's such a weird little boost. It's a nice treat. It's a bit odd. But you do get a bonus to your strength, dexterity, and constitution saving throws equal to your Hemocraft modifier, therefore making your intelligence or wisdom even better, which is cool. Hard to argue with that. Brand of Tethering at level 13. The psychic damage from your Brand of Castigation increases to twice your Hemocraft modifier, and a branded creature can no longer take the dash action, and if it attempts to teleport or leave its current plane by any means, it takes 4d6 psychic damage first, and then must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failure, it cannot teleport. Level 14, you get advantage against saving throws against being charmed or frightened. That is so late for such a middling ability for the most part. So, and at level 20, your mastery of blood magic reaches its height, mitigating your sacrifice and empowering your expertise. Once per turn, whenever a Blood Hunter feature requires you to roll a Hemocraft die, you can re-roll it and use either roll. Additionally, when you score a critical hit with a weapon for which you have an active Crimson Rite, you gain 1 expended use of your Blood Maledict feature. I like the last part of that. I don't love the first part of that. Capstones are tricky, as I talked about last week with the Ranger. Let's have a look at some of the blood curses. There's loads. We're not going over all of them. We could go over all of them. Maybe. I'm not signing up to this. If you are watching and then all of them follow this, you know I did all of them. As a blood curse of the anxious, me. As a bonus action, you harry the body or mind of a creature within 30 feet of you, making them susceptible to forceful influence. Until the end of your next turn, intimidation checks against the cursed creature have advantage. And if you amplify it, the next wisdom saving throw the cursed creature makes before the curse ends has disadvantage. It's fine. It's fine. The curse of binding. As a bonus action, you attempt to bind a larger or smaller creature within 30 feet of you, which must make a strength save. Failure, it gets 0 speed and can't use reactions until the end of your turn. Amplify it, the curse lasts for a minute, and it can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the curse on a success. That is pretty common with some of these, as far as I can tell. So, Blood Curse of Bloated Agony as a bonus action within 30 feet of you, cause a body to swell. The creature gains disadvantage on strength checks and dexterity checks, and takes 1d8 necrotic damage if it makes more than one attack during its turn. You can make that last for a minute, etc. Blood Curse of Corrosion. This is an Order of the Mutant special. As a bonus action, you can poison a creature within 30 feet of you. The creature can make a Constitution save at the end of each of its turns, ending the curse on a success. And if you amplify it, it takes 4d6 necrotic damage when you inflict the curse, and 4d6 every time it fails the curse as well, because it's poisoned. Blood Curse of the Exorcist, which is a Ghost Slayer 1. I will go over a little bit of the info on my thoughts on the subclasses shortly. Bonus action, 30 feet. You have to choose a creature that is charmed or frightened or is under a possession effect. The creature is no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed. You amplify it. The creature that caused that effect takes 3d6 damage and has to succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be stunned until the end of your next turn. That's pretty solid. Niche, but solid. Blood Curse of Exposure. Said the word blood too many times. When a creature within 30 feet of you takes damage from an attack or spell, you can use your reaction to temporarily weaken its resilience. Until the end of the target's next turn, it loses resistance to all of the damage types of the triggering attack or spell, including for that triggering effect. If you amplify it, it can get rid of invulnerability, which would be immunity now, but gives it resistance instead. Again, niche but handy. Blood Curse of the Eyeless. When a creature within 30 feet of you makes an attack, you can take a reaction and roll 1 Hemocraft die, subtract the number from the attack roll. You can choose to use this feature after the creature's roll has rolled, roll, but before the DM determines whether the attack hits or misses. The creature is immune to this curse if it is immune to the blinded condition. If you amplify it, you apply this curse to all of the creature's attack rolls until the end of the creature's turn. You roll separately for each affected attack. Blood Curse of the Fallen Puppet. When a creature you can see within 30 feet of you drops to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to instill the creature with a final act of aggression. The creature immediately makes 1 weapon attack against a target of your choice within its range. That's super fun. If you amplify it, you can make it move, and it gets a bonus to its attack roll too. Blood Curse of the Howl, I guess I'm doing all of them, is an Order of the Lichen 1. As an action, you do a big ol' woof. Each creature within 30 feet of you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become frightened until the end of your next turn. If a creature saves by 5 or more, it's stunned or frightened this way. A creature that succeeds on its saving throw is immune to this blood curse for 24 hours. You can choose as many creatures as you want to be unaffected too. And if you amplify it, the range is 60 feet. So that's a solid one. Also, I love I know it's a Pathfinder thing, but the failing by X amount or more, and then different effects. I love that stuff. I wish that was more commonplace in D&D design. Blood Curse of the Marked. As a bonus action, you mark a creature within 30 feet of you. Until the end of your turn, whenever you hit the creature with a weapon for which you have an active Crimson Right, you roll an additional Hemocraft die to determine the extra damage. Amplify it, you get advantage on your next attack. Blood Curse of the Muddled Mind. As a bonus action, you curse a creature you can see within 30 feet of you that is concentrating on a spell or uses a feature that requires concentration. It gets disadvantage on the next con save to maintain con before the end of your next turn. If you amplify it, it gets disadvantage on all con saves until the end of your next turn to maintain concentration. And then the Profane Soul one is Blood Curse of the Soul Eater. When a creature that isn't a construct or undead is reduced to 0 hit points within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to offer their life energy to your patron in exchange for power. Until the end of your next turn, you make attacks with advantage and you get resistance to all damage. I mean, that's just really good. If you amplify it, you also get a Warlock spell slot back. Once you've amplified this blood curse, you must finish a long rest before you can amplify it again. I mean, that's probably the best of the bunch, but it's also a level 18 and subclass specific one. So let's go over the vibes. It's just going to be a vibe check for the other ones, right? And a few quick notes rather than anything major, because I don't want to be talking for a full hour about. Order of the Ghost Slayer is you get to be a ghost, basically. You get resistance and you shine light. You get to walk through stuff. Fairly standard ghosty stuff. Order of the Lichen, you get to be a lycanthrope. It's very unarmed strike heavy, which is super cool, and you get little bonuses depending on what you want to do, as well as a drawback. I love a good drawback. I love a good bonus. It's a good one. The Lichen is probably the best one for just pure numbers, like the simplicity of the numbers. Order of the Mutant is the Geralt of Rivia 1, the Witcher 1. I do think the fighter whose name escapes me from Grim Hollow. Does a better job of that now, but I can see why this would have been absolutely incredible before. Again, a lot of options. It doesn't get the spells, which I think is a weird miss. But hey. And the Profane Soul is a Warlock one. You get to be a martial with a lot of Warlock abilities, including packed slots. What is really funny about this is that you eventually get to 4th level spells, which is only 1 level lower than the Warlock packed slots get on a full Warlock. Just brings me joy. It also has descriptions for specifics depending on each individual Warlock patron, which is a lot of work. I do have a quick note about this one. At level 7, you get a specific spell based on your patron, which you can cast once using a packed slot, and then you can't do it again until you finish a long rest. At level 15, you can cast... You get a different spell, depending on the patron you've got, and you get to cast that one for free, but can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Really weird restrictions there. Very odd. Speaking of things that are odd, it is incredibly strange to me that there is not a vampire-themed subclass. Vampires are arguably the most blood-themed monster, and the Alucard thing is hardly a new power fantasy for players, I would think. The idea of being a vampire, hunting vampires, is entrenched in all sorts of media, Blade, for example. So it's really weird that there isn't a vampire subclass here to me. If I was to update this, that would be one of the things I would add. Let's talk about specific updates now, shall we? I think we can just do normal face for this. I don't need the whole thing up, both for my sanity and your sanity, everyone's sanity. We love a brief glimpse of sanity in these tiring times. As it's a martial class, obviously the most handy thing you can give it is weapon masteries. The lack of weapon masteries here are going to make it feel outdated, ultimately. Probably 2, maybe 1 at level 1, and then 1 at level like 5 or something alongside extra attack. I don't think it needs many. I think the idea of a Blood Hunter fits a specific weapon, right? Especially with the Crimson Rite, you're already basically bonding with a weapon. So yes. The castigation ability, the brand that you can do, having it be once per long rest is rough. Probably tie that to proficiency bonus or an ability of some kind per long rest, and maybe give the ability to transfer it in the same way you can with Hunter's Mark and a few other features which mark a creature. I would also add an extra use of the Blood Maledict to begin with, so you've got 2 uses, and then have that continue to scale up as it does by adding a new one at the set levels. Other than that, and the wording really needs to change. I actually don't think it's that far behind 2024 subclasses, generally speaking. It does depend which subclass you're comparing it to. I do think, as with so many, that it would probably benefit from an extra feat somewhere in amongst the progression, but you're getting a lot of stuff as you're leveling up with that class, so it is a little harder to fit in. I am a firm believer that martials should all get at least 1 extra feat, generally speaking. The rogue does, and it helps. The fighter gets a few extra, and it really helps them. And then you've just got the barbarian and the monk. And am I forgetting a martial class? No, I don't think so. You know, I talk about D&D too much, and my brain's just filled with goop. Anyway, I think martials should get more feats. I also think most of the half-caster classes should get more feats. I also think all of the half-casters should have access to weapon masteries as default. But that is basically it. I am tempted to do a Blood Hunter build. The issue is the one that would speak to me would be a vampire one, and that doesn't exist. And I know that is a me problem. Maybe it just doesn't exist on D&D Beyond, to be fair. I don't know if Matt Mercer made other ones. And I haven't talked to him, so I can't ask him. You'll probably know if you're a fan of indie designer Matt Mercer. But I think that's it for me today. I think we're done. That was an alright video, like an acceptable video. I'm losing it a little bit. I hope that you are well and you continue to do well. I hope that you are having a wonderful week and you have a good week ahead of you. I have some very exciting videos coming next week and I cannot wait to share them with all of you. Your eyes focused on me on Tuesday and Wednesday. There will be bonus videos, which I'm just giddy about, frankly. But that's it for now, so check out some other videos. I'll put something on the end screen, and I will see you whenever it is that I next see you, hopefully Monday, for a build, which I haven't done yet, but I will do in the time between this being recorded and this going up. Time is funny like that. Anyway, goodbye.